So let's just settle into our nice, comfy meditation posture. And here we go. And just try and settle the mind. I don't think our Aussies are here. Are our Aussies here? Not yet. Don't see any Aussies. So all of us here in the US, I think. And so we're at the end of our day, whichever side of the country you're on. If you're on the East Coast, you're very much at the end of your day, way past your bedtime. Or mine anyway. So this is a really excellent practice to do just before your head hits the pillow. And I know that's not what's going to happen for me here tonight, but it's an aspiration. Because once you've done this practice, if you go straight to bed, then you can't get up to anything in between. So for those of you on the East Coast and in the Central America, you're actually a little bit lucky doing it this late. So try and align the spine, the shoulders are over the hips, and imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light, and it stretches from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. There's one of our Aussies. And just relax the crown of the head and just notice what sensations are there and try not to attach any stories to it. Just feel and then relax the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the mouth, the temples, the jaw, the back of the head, the back of the neck. Allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. Just breathe, noticing the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. Excuse me. And be aware of any sounds in your environment. And just note, try not to follow with the mind. And then noticing the thoughts that are arising. And just try and identify, because usually when we first start looking at our mind, all we see is a mass of stuff. And then after a while, we can start to categorize what it is we're thinking. And then through the day, if you check in with yourself, it's like, oh yeah, here I am ruminating again. We can put a stop to that. Let's do a mantra instead. This is why mantras are so wonderful. So if you do find yourself, this is kind of a little bit of an antidote. If you do find yourself ruminating about something or thinking about something that's not helpful or doesn't really serve you, you can just interrupt yourself with Om Mani Padme Hum. So, the word mantra means mind protection. So there you have it. And then bring to mind all the people of your life. So you can start with our very precious loved ones. And these are the people who we have these beautiful and deep and profound relationships with. These are the people that support us. Even when it's not convenient for them to do so, they'll come and give you a hand, help you out with something. And then there's our folks, precious folks we don't like so much. And these folks are particularly precious because they show us our mind. The ones we love, there's not much needing to work on the mind there. You're happy, you're laughing, you're being helped out, you're helping out. But the ones we don't like, there's aversion there and irritation. And, it's not the person that's causing that, it's what's going on in our mind. So they show us what's there, become like a mirror. And then there's our strangers. And just remember they're all equal. They all want to be happy. No one wants to suffer, and they all want to have this, they all have this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. Just keep that at the foremost of your mind. I mean, of course, we just don't go around committing negativities knowing that, oh, yes, I can purify it. But if you happen to be the kind of person that worries about any kind of tiny moral transgression you've done or were actually inadvertently forced to do, then you don't have to worry so much. You can do this practice. It will help to ameliorate some of these things we've done out of ignorance, out of anger. So we think we'll do this practice of Vajrasattva for the benefit of all these people of our life, and by extension, all of the sentient beings. So there is no negativity that can't be purified. We sincerely regret from the depths of our heart anything we've done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And the reason we want to regret is based on this logic of karma. Everything we experience is based on our past actions. So given that we experience some suffering, we don't really want to experience anymore. So therefore, we just want to regret. We regret, pull out the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So just regret from the depths of your heart, having harmed others with your body and your speech and yourself with your mind. And just have regret for all our delusions that are there, collected over time. It's a bit like all that trash that's up on Mount Everest that gets kind of left there. So, we want to clear that all out. So we start with the power of reliance. The next one, we've done regret. So we now come to reliance, and we rely upon this Buddha Vajrasattva, who we come to with this idea that Vajrasattva has these methods and this medicine that we can use to purify ourselves. So you imagine this beautiful Buddha above the crown of your head made of light. And you can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. He's made of radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful radiant face, and his eyes are long and they're shaped like lotus petals. And they're peaceful and they're full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. And he has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left holds a bell representing wisdom. The right holds a vajra, which represents compassion, its indestructibility. And when they cross, this represents enlightenment, the union of the two. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened by this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva. May I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So we have this little section here on developing compassion. In order to develop compassion, we actually need to rely upon other beings. This is why it's in that section called reliance. The very beings we've harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of someone you may have harmed recently, in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you, and we have compassion for them because the harm they've caused you is going to result in suffering for them in the future. So now we come to the power of the remedy, and this is the medicine doing the practice of purification using mantra and visualization. So we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of white nectar, like coming out of a hose, coming out of a waterfall, very forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space. And just imagine there's not an atom left as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows and disappears into space. Just imagine there's not a single atom left of your negative speech. So you imagine all of our gossip and just irrelevant speech and useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you. And then there's all this kind of inappropriate speech and just blah, blah. And just imagine it's all purified by this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatta sawa kama sitam me, Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ha ho bhagavan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva aham pe, Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anarakta me boa sawa siddhi mempi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And the next is a purification of our mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and just fills your entire being. So you imagine when you walk into a room and you flick on the switch, and the light that comes, it just instantly dispels the darkness. So we often think of turning on the light rather than dispelling the darkness. So try and think of that next time you go into a room and it's dark and you turn the switch on. Imagine you've dispelled the darkness. And so the same thing, just imagine the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, and all this darkness of this negativity instantly dispelled. So all our depression and anger and anxiety and jealousy and bitterness and grudges and insecurities, all of this completely gone, blasted away by this light. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta me boa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering, and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech are completely purified. And now think that there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So you imagine light and nectar pouring in, filling you completely, and eradicating even the subtlest imprints of negative energy as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe and Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. So now feel completely purified and imagine there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. And you can just think even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. So now we come to the power of resolve, and this is the fourth and the final step in the purification process. It's really crucial to make a decision to refrain from harming. And even just that simple decision, you'll find that you are no longer in situations where you are harming. It's kind of magical. You don't really need to do terribly much. There doesn't have to be a huge amount of restraint because the situation just isn't there. But if the situation is there, this becomes like a guardrail and you can just take a step back. Keep your mouth shut. Learn not to react. Or react, but do it internally. But recognize what you're doing. Don't squash it. Just recognize it's part of your trying to change, create new neural pathways. So I found this video of neural pathways being formed. I put it on my Facebook page, Instagram or Facebook, I can't remember. And anyway, it's just kind of magical. These little neurons kind of with these little hands kind of getting closer and closer together. And then finally they join. And then there's a sort of a neurological pathway there. It's beautiful. So it's actually a kind of a physical thing in the brain. It can be done. But we have to make effort. So rejoice in your effort. Think about something you want to work on and work with and practice that between now and tomorrow. And then imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with you, wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and just absorbs into you through your crown. And you can think my teacher's body, speech, and mind, and Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche would recommend to meditate on emptiness. And so we can think in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, just place the mind there for a moment. And we can think of all phenomena as being empty. They don't exist from their own side. And you can also think the way things are appearing to me are not necessarily the way they exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, the positive energy we've created by doing this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So I think just have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long and for the swift return of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche's unmistaken reincarnation, and then for your own precious teachers. All right, to live long.